I've been wrestling with this issue across the board for at least 15 years prior to coming here. Actually did something about it in my own company across the board too, to make things work for my own employees. That occurred in about 2008. And I was sick and tired of hearing how lucky we were through our insurance companies that it's only going up 5 to 10% per year. And Senator Paul earlier talked about free markets. He and I are going to be in agreement on that mostly, but let me tell you what free markets have in common, unless it's entangled with government like this business is, even more so than most industries. No barriers to entry, robust competition, full transparency, and here's probably the most important one, that the consumer, Senator Paul mentioned this, the consumer has no skin in the game the way it's currently constructed. They either want, when they need remediation, which is a very inelastic demand, when you get critically ill or have a bad accident, they want it done immediately, they don't want to shop around, and they either want their employer to pay for most of it or the government. It's a system by its nature that is about as far from free enterprise. It's more like an unregulated utility, and you're a part of it. The good news is, when I first started looking at it, hospitals were about 30% of the healthcare dollar. Practitioners were about 30 to 35%. Pharma was 15, insurance 15. Insurance and pharma have not changed a lot, even though insurance has become disproportionately more impactful in terms of keeping the whole system glued together the way it is. Sadly, hospitals have grown to almost 45% of the healthcare dollar simply because so many practitioners, that'd be like losing farmers in agriculture, aren't even wanting to get into the business like they used to. Used to be not only the Hippocratic Oath, but they wanted to have their own business to boot. They are increasingly being employed by large corporate hospitals that all play into this lack of what most markets have. So you pile all that up, you're to where Senator Sanders is. People are getting fed up with it. I got fed up with it 15 years ago. The rest of the world can buy drugs for 1/4 the price. They have health care as being 10 to 12% of their GDP, with every developed country having outcomes as good as, if not better. And here we are at 18% of our GDP, and it's going up as opposed to going the other way. Nothing works like that in a true market context. Maybe we'll not get there. Let's look at pharma itself. You've got a proprietary product that takes a long time, investment in R&D. Pointed out that a lot of these drugs have a $5 maybe material cost, yet sell for hundreds of dollars. So it means you've got very low variable costs, very high fixed costs. That's the classic case for how you can charge things and you don't have it related to your actual cost of doing business. Sounds like maybe on PBMs, if that is accurate, that you're working on a 4% profit margin. I assume that's on sales. I'm assuming you're getting a lot better return on equity than that, or else you probably wouldn't be growing your businesses. Something's got to give. You're either going to get what Senator Sanders is proposing, where all other countries have done it, because they've never found a way to address the broad issues I've mentioned, and probably the easiest place that you could fix it would be maybe in primary health care, which never was insurance intended to cover scratches and dents. Never should consumers be in any market where they want someone else to pay 100% of it. Those that can afford it shouldn't even be under insurance for their primary health care. Those that can't should have that support. Otherwise, you never have a real market. I'm going to go to the thing that struck me most kind of significantly was when I heard Senator Sanders ask, why are you selling, especially, I'm sure it's simple molecule drugs as well as the biologics. Why is this stuff selling minimally for 1/4 of the price in most other markets that you sell to, and sometimes 1/10? obviously you're covering your variable costs. Why are we as Americans paying the bill, even though it is only 15% of our GDP? If it's not working here, how are we going to get the rest of the system to work? Why is that? I never was clear, and I didn't hear a clear answer other than you're going to continue to do it. You want to start, Mr. Ricks?
I can, yeah, thanks for the question. First, one problem with the data that is often cited is list prices in the US, where we get paid on net pricing after negotiation. Those numbers versus Europe are typically about 35% higher in the US than Europe, not double or some other number. So I'll admit they are higher on a net average basis. What do we get for that? We get the earliest access to new medicines of any country in the world. And in general, we have the industry here as well, which I think supports jobs and manufacturing roles, et cetera. So
you're breaking the bank. The thing you got to realize is all the things that you say are attributes of our system, they shouldn't cost us 50% more than what healthcare does across the world. And in your case, since most people have a prescription as maybe their first entry into the healthcare system, here you're showing us where you're charging minimally 4 times as much here, if not 10 times. I don't think politically that is going to get you into the next generations of where you will be like a regulated utility, and it'll be the same format that all other countries have had to go to.
With all due respect, I think we get one other thing, which I wanted to mention, which is the possibility of new cures and treatments. That is funded by more or less the premium we get in the developed world. They fund that for the world. And I think we have to strike a balance between having low-cost medicines today and future
But what does
cures.
that have to do with charging us 10 times to at least 4 times? I mean, why can't they carry? They're the ones not even doing the work. They should be paying more.
I mean, you raise a good point. Lilly will spend about what the entire country of Germany does on pharmaceutical research this year. So why are they not funding that? I don't know.
I think that's something you need to ask yourselves, or else I think the structure of what you're used to is not going to persist into the future because we simply can't afford it. You're in a business that has the peculiarity of uncertain outcomes, R&D, that is bona fide, but I think where you've defaulted maybe somewhere down the line, you say you don't need PBMs. We've had that conversation. Why wouldn't it then, why would you not need PBMs when they are making a smaller margin and it's such a complicated system and you're the producer of the product? In all other industries,